Hey, it's Alan. Here I have another exceptional podcast pipeline to profitability. I've got the amazing Angie Snow with me today, who I've known for many years now through our passion for the industry. And a little bit about Angie. Angie and her amazing husband Ryan have founded this great company. You're based out of Utah or Western Heating and Cooling. I'm not too sure.
Mhm.
And I'm also following you with your fitness journey and just you're all about improving the industry and I'd love to hear your thoughts. You'll do a way better intro of you than me, because I always bugger it up. But I'd love to hear a little bit about Angie as our listeners, and a little bit about some of the stuff you're doing. And then we're going to get in and throw some gold nuggets to everyone that's listening, because we're about what's best for the industry, right?
I love
So
that. Yeah,
welcome, Angie.
thanks, Alan. I'm so excited to be here with you and to talk industry talk. That is my passion now. I come from the education world. I was a teacher for 7 years, jumped into heating and air conditioning with my husband, and never looked back. It's been so fun along the way. Couple things about me, just for fun. I do love to run. I do love fitness. So I do a little bit of that on the side just to stay healthy because I think if you feel good, you perform good. And so I take my health very seriously that way. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're very passionate about the industry as I am. We're both in it for the industry,
right.
and so I'd love to hear just a little bit about, I mean, maybe your journey with Weston, and you're married to one of the most amazing men I've ever met, and I'd love to get you both on the podcast. Maybe we'll get Ryan on
We
next time.
should.
But yeah, I know there's a lot of things I should do, right? But so just probably a little bit about what you do for the industry,
Sure.
and how you're helping the industry, and yeah, and we'll like I said, we're going to give a lot of value to our listeners
Thank
today,
you.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So my time in the industry started in 2007. We purchased a heating and air conditioning company in Utah. It had four technicians and four trucks, and we were running it out of our little rental home in Utah because we were at the peak of a recession and could not sell our home in California. It was a crazy time for us. So, but we were in it, and I loved my husband, and I had three young children under the age of 5 at home, and we jumped into it and we said, let's do this. As we started doing it, I felt like at first I was just here to support him with his dream. And so I really wanted to be a good wife and like let's help you make this dream a reality. He'd already been in the industry for about 10 years, and so jumping on board, I thought my job is to support you. But as we started venturing into our business and the recession of 2008 kind of looming and trying to figure out how to pay bills and how to be profitable, how to get our company out of a little bit of a financial mess and not go under, we knew we needed help. And that's when we joined Service Roundtable and started learning from other amazing contractors. That's where we met you. We joined Service Nation Alliance, and we started just soaking up as much as we could about what other successful contractors were doing. What were they doing? And then we would take that back and we would implement it. We would go learn more. We would take it back and implement it. I mean, something as simple as change the color of the wrap on your truck. Now I believe that's a standard practice, but back then, not many companies were doing it. And so we started just implementing one thing after another, working on our financials, working on our leadership, working on our culture and our values and who we were becoming as a company, doing things in marketing that other companies weren't doing. And pretty soon we started to have a very successful, profitable company. Did we have hiccups along the way? Yes, we did. We had a lot. And every time we had something like that happen, it was like, more expensive education, more expensive education. We're learning. We took those challenges and hard times as lessons so that we could learn and get better. And eventually, 2015, 2016, we were doing some things that other companies weren't doing. And Service Nation Alliance did their first Service World Expo. And at that expo, I was so surprised. They named me the Woman of the Year in HVAC. And I was like, what? Like, I was so blown away, Ellen. I was like, who am I to get this award? Like, I haven't done anything special. But there were a lot of people that's like, no, Angie, like, look at some of the things you've put into place. And at that time, I think as women specifically, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. Like, we're never enough. We set these high expectations, and we're in this man's world of heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical. This is a man's world. What are we doing here? A lot of times we're trying to find our footing, and so to be recognized, I was like, this is cool, and there's something here. And I see a lot of other women that are really playing big time in the background and not getting the recognition. And so at that time, I joined Women in HVACR, and I got on their board of directors because I felt like we weren't shedding enough light on the women in the industry, and giving them a place where they could feel like they belonged. So that was kind of the beginning of my journey up to that point. So I'll pause there because I know I'm just
That's
rattling
beautiful.
on.
And I know that Angie, everyone that listens is going to love that story. And when I mean, I say this on every episode. I do the podcast not just for giving value to the industry. I do it for me because I learn so much just by having conversations with amazing people like you that can actually have come from humble beginnings and are adding value to the industry. So a couple of things that you said that really resonate with me. The word implementing. I mean, this is something that I teach, and of all the companies that I teach, and I have done, I mean, I've coached, as you know, you came to visit me in Australia. I think I can't remember when that was. It was probably 2000.
It was 2015. I remember the year.
I was about to say 2015.
Got it.
And that was a really busy year for me. We'd done, I think I had about 6 trips to the US, and then you guys come down, and I think Matt Michelle and Ben Stark and all these great people. But I want to go back to the word implementation. It's used by many, but not actually followed by many, if that makes sense. It's because I coach contractors best practice when it comes to building their plumbing and drain business, which I want to say this, and I've said this before, it's the most undercapitalized area of any business. And if you ain't adding a drain division to your company, you're missing out on massive revenue opportunity, and it is the highest margin of anything we can do in the industry. It'll pull the biggest numbers to the bottom line. But the word implementation. Now, you work as a coach. You work well as a fitness trainer. Obviously, if you don't do the work, you're not going to get the results. But so, how important is that, Ange, that we actually because you've done it, and I think you're a great you'd be a great teacher for anyone in the industry, just through your humble beginnings and having a successful business. But how do we get? Let's dig a little bit deeper about the actual implementation, and I want your view on that. So I've got mine.
Well, for us, there were a couple things that we needed to do. One of the biggest things that helped us start implementing is we hired coaches, and we found mentors to help us because they've already done this. They know how to do it. I could just try to spend so much time learning it and figuring out all of these things on my own, but I started to hire coaches who already knew how to do it. And that was the best investment of my time and my money, because I was able to get to where I wanted to go faster. I was able to implement things faster because I had someone, number one, giving me guidance, but number two, also keeping me accountable. And now I'm married to my business partner. And so for me to be the one to try to hold him accountable. Okay, we have this, and this that needs to get done. Now I'm like a nagging wife, and I didn't want that. And our relationship was way too important for me to, I wanted to relish that and be his supporter and his encourager, not the one that's nagging him and keeping him accountable. So having a coach at all times, and sometimes we had multiple coaches. There was a time we had a business coach just to help us set up our structure, our departments, our org charts, our values, our mission, things like that. Then we had a different coach. Ben Stark actually was one of our first coaches to help us implement our annual planning and how to set up an annual planning session and how to have these meetings and then how to execute on those plans. We hired a financial coach to help us get our finances all in order and to help us become more profitable that way. I hired a marketing coach to help me get a better digital presence. Her whole focus was digital marketing. So I hired a marketing coach. And throughout all these different coaches, and I know I'm leaving a few out, but those are the people that will help give you the tools, the resources, the training, the teaching, and then they also give you some accountability to help you stay on track and execute and get these things actually rolled out. So there are so many things that go into implementation, but number one, having a coach and sticking to the plan that they give you, that was huge trust. And it's important to select a coach that you feel like is a good fit for you too, right? Because there are lots of coaches out there. And anyone can say, I'm a coach. I've done this. I can be a coach. And so it's important to look for people like yourself, Ellen, that you've proven how to run a profitable dream company. Why wouldn't I go work with you if I was getting ready to roll that out? So it's really important to do your homework and find people who can coach you and help you implement a lot of these things. Of course, you can do it on your own. It's just going to take a lot longer and you're going to make a lot more mistakes along the way.
Love it. That's probably one of the best responses to that question I've ever heard. And you are 100% like we're on the same page. We're sort of probably because we've been hanging around with Service Roundtable, Service Nation, Matt Michelle, David Heimer, and I consider both those guys friends. We hosted, as you know, we hosted Service Nation, International Roundtable in Australia, 2012. Why weren't you there?
I think I had a little 2-year-old at the time.
Yeah, I know. But look, getting a coach, and look, every area of coaching that you've mentioned, I've done that, and it's only when I stopped, when I stopped using coaches like finance coaches and marketing coaches, and I had Ben Stark. I brought Ben Stark to Australia. I think he spent 4 weeks with us. He helped me set up Service Nation Australia, and but yeah, I think more of our contractor friends need to budget, and it's all about putting that in the budget. And that's one of the first things I teach is everything you want, the customer pays for everything you want, you budget for it. It might mean a slight price increase, or it might mean you've got to sacrifice something else. You just got to do it. And to actually implement what we know it's probably not as easy as what I'm making it out to be. It's you do need the coach, the accountability, and knowing exactly the next steps and everything. I think every single training I've ever done, and this is one thing I learned, Angie, is that often contractors try to do too much at once.
Oh yeah.
And by saying, all right, okay, look, there's 10 things we need to do, but what's the number one thing that we need to do right now?
Right.
What's the next best step to actually get you closer to your goal? And so I'd love to hear more about what you're doing and how because you're a coach. And I don't know if you're just specific to the great women in the industry, and I know you're a fitness coach, and you maybe that. I mean, it's all the same stuff, right? Whether you're coaching someone on fitness, whether you're coaching someone on building a business plan, but The only thing I have to criticize you and Ryan is that you haven't used me as a coach yet.
Well, we just started our plumbing division 2 months
Okay.
ago. So you're probably only a phone call away, Alan.
I'm joking. I just needed to throw that out there. Get you thinking about it. But yeah,
Absolutely. And I don't say this is everyone get a coach because I'm a coach and I'm fishing for business. Quite honestly, I have no idea how many people I have to turn down because I actually have a full-time job at Service Titan as an industry advisor. And
right.
what that is right now is actually I'm a coach at Service Titan. I work with a lot of the members, the team members, my colleagues at Service Titan, as their whole goal is to really help contractors be as successful as they can by giving them data and insights, by making it an easier customer experience for contractors for their customers. And so, really, I see that if I can give them some more industry insight, it will help them. Create a better product and have the tools and guide them to what we value as important as contractors. And
Mm,
so my job there is to really advise and instruct and then also take what they're doing and take it back to the contractors and help contractors realize that Service Titan's just one tool. There are so many tools out there, but I'm helping contractors see ways that they can up level in their business using this as a tool and using other tools. One thing that happened 2016 is, and kind of one thing that kind of spurred me wanting to be a coach, is I lost a dear friend at that time. A very close friend. She had passed away due to causes of postpartum depression, and it crushed me because we were the same age. Our kids had grown up together. We went to college together, and now I just see this family without a mom. And I put myself in those shoes, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still here. I'm still living. I'm still breathing. What can I do to make my life impactful, not only as a mother and as a wife, but start paying back to this industry? And that's when I decided I wanted to actually teach and train and coach. And so that's when I decided I'm going to get into coaching and I'm going to help um, take some of the things that have helped me be successful and pay them forward. And so to be able to do that in my own business and with my husband for a couple years, and now doing it at Service Titan. I do some coaching for Go Time Success Group. I work on their CSR training and coaching program. It's so fulfilling. It's what gets me excited now. I mean, earlier on in my HVAC career, it was me having the success in my company. That was what was driving me to do better. And now, even though we still have our company and I still love to see us growing, I get really, really excited when I see other companies taking what I'm teaching them and training them and doing the same thing in their companies. And I know you feel that same thing, Alan. Like you've done it, you've lived it, and now to be able to see other people do it, that's exciting because you've trained them and you've helped them get there. It's
um,
full
yeah, no,
circle.
that was fantastic, and I think there's more to coaching than helping others, and I'm going to touch on that. I know this podcast it's about both of us sharing what we believe is going to better the industry. And I love everything that you've done, and I've been following you for a long time. And I think you may have come and visited our shop in Sydney too. Is it?
I
Yeah, I think
did.
we put on a special barbecue and got everyone together, and that was fun. Look, that's one area that I I know. Being in Australia, we haven't got access to all the great companies. There's a few. I mean, we were leading the way, and there was some other really good companies. But that's one thing I tell all the contractors that I coach is. Um, Go and visit other companies. Go and see what they're doing. Get to know the owners. I mean, you don't actually have to go into the other company to get the benefits, but just reaching out to the owners or the marketing managers. And
Mhm.
look, probably 99% of all the contractors that I work with, if you ring them up and ask them, they'll share what they're doing. They're happy to talk to you about it. But so what I realized, and it was after, and I'm going to throw this at you. I'm going to get you to let everyone know of a great book that you're actually reading. But a great book that I read, I think it was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mm,
Um, and I read that a long time ago. And one of the things that that taught me was that when you're actually teaching others as a coach, you become better yourself.
yeah,
So that's not the most important thing you can do, because that I think most contractors um, could probably be a lot more effective if they worked on themselves a lot more.
absolutely.
Okay, and I wish I could. I can't turn back the clock and undo some of the things that have happened, but that's an area that we shouldn't take for granted. I mean, you talked about your friend, so I'm very sorry to hear about that, but it's our own mental health, and it's working on ourself, because we work on ourselves by teaching others and helping, and it does feel good to help other
Yeah,
contractors, but that actually makes us better people, right?
absolutely. Yeah. Personal development and being intentional about growing yourself as a person, you're only going to show up as good as you have to offer. So if you're not actually putting good into yourself, what do you have to give and what do you have to share? And that's a very, very, it's been a huge part of my success and how I've grown and succeeded over the years, is being very intentional about making that a habit. It's just part of what I do every day. And it's podcasts, it's books, it's classes. I'm continuing to take more classes. Like I'll probably never stop. I think that's one of my the best teachers are sometimes the best learners. And
Yeah.
because if you can learn something and then turn around and teach it, it helps you internalize it even more.
Fantastic. This has been amazing. I've had so much fun. I know I keep the podcast relatively short, um, but I'd love to keep going with you. And maybe what we do is we'll get another podcast going, Ange, and maybe get that lovely man of yours on board as well. You
Absolutely.
know, he,
He would love to.
he's so inspirational. I know. We've interacted a lot at all the service world events and everything, but I really love you guys, and I really respect everything that you do for the industry, and everything that all the successes that you've got from this great industry. Just one thing I'll touch on, and we've got a few more minutes yet. I'm going to get you to do a book
Yeah.
recommendation. Just from my perspective, I've had some unbelievable failures along the way. I've had some of the greatest successes, but I've had some massive failures. And I don't know what your view on this, but I've learned way more from those failures.
Oh yeah.
And every time I've had something catastrophic happen to me, it's put me to a whole new level. I'm going, holy shit! Like, I don't know. I'd love your view on that one, Angie.
Oh my gosh, where do we start with failures? There are so many. There are so many things. Um, I think when I look back in my business and I look at areas where we've really failed, part of that has been hiring the wrong people or hiring too quick, not doing my due diligence and hiring the right people. Um, but at the same time, through hiring these people, it's just like you said, I've learned what I need in that spot, or I've learned what I need to look for. And then I hire better and I do better the next time. And so each of these people, I'm not going to say that I regret hiring them. Some of them have made bigger mistakes than others and put us in tough spots to get out of. Um, but that's helped me learn as like where I'm failing in accountability and setting them up for success as well. So I take ownership in all of those, but I'm also grateful for all of those because I've learned through those, which leads to my
Beautiful.
book recommendation, which I have so many books that I love. I recently have been certified. Oh, sorry,
Just one book.
I'm not going to do all of them. No, I'm just going to
No.
share one. I've recently been certified as a John Maxwell certified team member, and
Wow.
so I I follow him, and I love a lot of stuff. This is his newest book. It's called The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication. Fabulous, uh, because I'm so big into communication, and a big part of success is being able to communicate as a leader, communicate. Our technicians, they need to be able to communicate. Our team members need to be able to communicate. So to be able to learn how to communicate better, this one has been gold. I'm still digging into it. There are so many nuggets. I hope to be able to share a lot more on this as I keep reading, but get this one hot
Fantastic.
off the press.
He is John Maxwell is amazing. I was blessed to have meet him. Well, I didn't actually meet. I've got a. I was at an event. I got close to him. He was swarmed, but I was at an event a couple of months back in Vegas where he was the keynote, and he was
Yeah.
amazing. And a little bit of history there. I did have a leadership company back in Australia that my business partner was mentored by John Maxwell and knew John
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell. And so one day I'm going to actually get to meet him. But what you find is with these big events, the popular people get swarmed and you can never get to them. And I'm sure if you got on a stage at one of these events, I wouldn't be able to get to you either,
Oh,
right?
I don't know about that. I will tell you something about John, though. I did get to meet him last year when I was certifying. And uh, of course, there were a lot of people there. But when I went up to go meet him, he looked at me and was like, oh, Angie, like, because he could see my name tag, Angie, like, thank you for being here. It was this sincere, like, he really does treat you like you are his best friend. And I felt like I'd known him for years. And that was just one instance, but he makes everyone feel that way. And I love that. And I'm like, what a great lesson. He lives what he preaches. He
Love
really
it. Yeah, everyone in the crowd this at this event would have felt the same. He made everyone feel special.
does.
So just like you do.
Thank you, Ellen.
Okay, so how do our podcast listeners get a hold of Angie?
Oh my goodness. Well, you can look me up on LinkedIn. It's Angie Snow Success Coach. Find me there. I also am on Facebook, or you can just email me, asnow@servicetitan.com.
Thank you. Really am
Thank
grateful for you doing this, and this will be a really big podcast. You watch; it'll break all previous records, guaranteed. So
I hope
thanks
so.
again.
Thanks,
And
Alan.
yeah, thanks everyone for joining Pipeline to Profitability podcast. And yeah, look forward to catching up with you all on the next podcast. And thanks again, Angie. Really grateful for you joining us.
Thanks you. Appreciate you so much.
Great.